I'm just a total amateur, clearly. Oh, and we're live.
Yes. And what the audience would have just gathered there, yes, you are an amateur, Mike, and so am I, by the way. Apologies for anybody who joined us a few seconds or minutes ago. We're still preparing in the background. I'm going to put it down to Christmas joy. Mike, we're live. It's Friday. It's not a Wednesday. It's not our usual slots. I know today we're having a special session today with one of our partners, which you're going to introduce in a second. And we're going to talk actually really importantly about accounts payable projects and P2P projects, how people run them, what solutions they currently use. Is it spreadsheets? How do they manage all that stuff? And I know the two gentlemen we're joining today will probably have an answer or a solution. But before we get the guys on the call, I normally ask you what's going on, but I want to start this week. I have literally been rushed off my feet. I have been live in the room training. I've been live eventing. I've been talking to hundreds of people around the world, and I'm absolutely shattered. But it's one of those where I can honestly say I've just thoroughly enjoyed the engagement I've had this week. And I say there was a big we, I should say. I've had the pleasure of meeting 30 plus councils live in a room and talking all about accounts payable with a big focus on no PO, no pay. No, that's a big couple of words in our industry. It was an absolute pleasure to work with the councils that are with one of our soon-to-be partners, but I won't announce who that is. But that was exceptional. We did a big part earlier this week with the Shared Service Centre Outsource Network. We joined one of their panels and are extraordinary. 500 plus people listening to a whole raft of experts that I had the pleasure of introducing. That was exceptional. So we were part of the conference for the Shared Service Centre Forum UK. I know, Mike, you were there as well, manning our stand. And again, I had the pleasure of joining Diane and Mark at one of their P2P sessions. Great member engagement, 50 plus individuals talking all about the world of procure to pay. And then also, I've been out and about. We did a bit of a team training with the team over at Breeden Group this week. And it was nice. It was the first face-to-face training we'd done for 18, 19 months. And not only was it delivered excellently, I would say that because I was in the room, but actually the engagement of the people, the barriers had disappeared somewhat. It was just lovely to see people, but it was just amazing, actually. Rachel Long and her team were just so engaged. Lovely to see them. Lovely surroundings, by the way. They've got the new building. They've been there since July. That was exceptional also. But it was just nice to meet people for the first time in 18, 19 months and having a chat with them. So that was my bit. There's me covered in 3 minutes, Mike. What have you been up to?
Well, I probably can't do 3 minutes. Why use one word where 20 will do? No, first of all, I would just want to say a big thank you, actually, to the Shared Service Forum UK for allowing us to participate and obviously, as a contributor, you were inside the ropes, as it were. But yeah, some really good conversations, and I thought the online space is always a challenge, and I thought what they did very well. Obviously, it looked like they spent a lot of money on their platform. It was really easy to use. So the chats and all the stuff and the competitions they had running, I thought it was done really well. So Lindsay and the team, amazing. And also, I want to big thank you to the Shared Service Outsourcing Network, so SSON, to Naomi Sikora, and particularly to Sid Vasili, who was one of your co-panelists, the host. I thought you guys did an amazing job, and that was a really engaging panel. And we've had lots of feedback from members and maybe prospective members who saw you on that, and we're like, oh, how do we get to hear more about what Jamie does? And I think there'll be more from Sid and in the future, hopefully, as well. So I know he's a great supporter of our community. So yeah, no, those were amazing. And obviously face-to-face, it's so nice to be able to get back to face-to-face. And I want to shamelessly plug our first face-to-face event in 2 years. And it's going to be in Birmingham. It's going to be where it all started. We're going back home to the conference centre that sponsored our first conference. Jamie, you tell us more about it. I'm going to go and see it with you next week, but you already know the place well, don't you?
Yeah, look, we're doing a combination event. It's the 8th of December. I mean, the one thing I would say is that tickets, usually we promote these tickets months in advance, but it's a smaller venue. We're restricted on space and numbers. I think we're at 85% sold, thereabouts. And I also know by the way, that we've probably got the other 15% if we wanted to push. But we are looking for people that want to come along to do one or two things. So it's called the AP Update. The AP Update is a course which is everything you need to know to run an effective and efficient accounts payable team, everything in terms of legislation, everything in terms of best practice. And you also get the opportunity, which is really important, to network with your peer group. So that's what the 8th of December is all about. So the first one that like you say, that we've done live. Next year, we've got a whole bunch of these planned, which will have a different theme, a different emphasis. But please, if you are interested, reach out. We'll probably put the link in below. It's on our website as well in the courses section. But we're also having the influencer community there as well. So there's a bit of a network with those guys. We do have a sponsor in the room, which we'll promote, and you'll get the details of that. And because of where the event space is, which is amazing, we're right in the middle of the German market. So for anybody that wishes to stop and have a bit of a Christmas song, Frankfurter, beer, whatever you want, or a hot chocolate, the sort of, I suppose, the drinks from me. It's the time of the year when I have to get the credit card out. So if you're coming along and you're wishing to join, yes, not only you'll get world-class education, you'll also get the chance to network, but more importantly, we can then maybe just finish the year off in a bit of style, go down the German market and have a bit of enjoyment as well.
And absolutely. And it's a fairly short event, so we start promptly at 10, I think, and we fly through till about 2:30, and then obviously, we pack away and off we go to the German market. So woohoo! I get the train home. But it would be very remiss of me not to sincerely thank our sponsors, Complete Software and Amazon Business Services, without whom this could not be possible. And they're going to be bringing a wealth of expertise, actually, in very small, manageable content blocks. But we've got their VP of Global Procurement, Max Kent, joining us. We've got the VP of Global Marketing, as well as some stuff on the Amazon side. Slightly under wraps. We're not allowed to say too much about it, so I'm not going to. But if you're coming, you will be blown away at what they're going to be bringing you. That's all I'm going to say. More on that to follow. But I think we should introduce our guest.
Okay, so Mike, I'm going to leave this one with you. I'm going to add the two gentlemen, and then if you could take us through an intro into the guys. And what I will do for my point, as I said, as I add the two gentlemen, Chris and Craig, one of the biggest challenges, by the way, Chris and Craig, before we get the intro, in our world, accounts payable and procure to pay projects generally. We manage everything via Excel. We're always the last to know about everything. We don't really plan because we can't, because nobody tells us. And I think what Mike tells me all about yourselves is not only you have a solution to help this, but you're experts in this field. So over to Mike, please intro the guys, and I'll add in as I see fit.
Yeah. A very warm welcome to Chris and to Craig. Obviously founding members, partners, owners of SKORE. So that's GetSkore.com, I believe, the website link. And you've been working with us for some time in terms of supporting our community, contributing thought leadership, helping us as a business run what we do. And I thank you for that. But also, I'm really keen to hear about how you can help our members manage change, because that's been the biggest factor of the last few months for many, is that they've been thrust into the spotlight almost, and have had to get their heads around some fairly complex issues, mostly with colleagues in other departments, and you knit all that together, don't you? So I mean, you can come in as you see fit. Just for the benefit of our audience, I told Craig and Chris that we'd have a good 20 minutes to prepare before going live, and then with 2 minutes to go, I went, by the way, chaps, I got it wrong, and you're live in about 2 minutes, so I'm going to throw you in the deep end. But listen, you're accomplished professionals. That's not a problem, I'm sure. But Chris, would you like to just kick off, and then between us, we'll just open up the SKORE proposition and see how we can't help some people manage the process improvement journey a bit better.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, cheers, Mike. You said it was a 2-minute warning. I'm sure you do this every time, so it's just such fresh. You don't give us a chance to rehearse or anything. But that's fine. And thanks for inviting us in. It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to work with you guys. The community you're building, and to be part of that is it's a pleasure, as I say. So my name's Chris Green, one of the founders, Chief Commercial Officer for what it's worth at SKORE. So we're sort of still a growing business, so we wear a few hats in the day to day. But so SKORE is a SaaS based process mapping and analysis platform. So we work with all sorts of businesses, all sorts of teams, but they're typically around improving their business in some way. And they come to us because I think Jamie mentioned it. Excel, PowerPoint. They're overwhelmed with the wealth of information that they have on their business. In all these different formats, and they're ultimately trying to make some sort of sense on this. So they're blinded by that complexity. They know they've got to change. They know they've got to improve or put in technology. But how do they sort of make these informed decisions? And they're also fed up that you mentioned about projects. There's this sort of hamster wheel of projects where you go in, you map some processes, you deliver some change, you come back 6 months later, and you've got to do it all again. Yeah, you've got to. It's changed so much, or people have changed the like, and that's where really GetSkore comes in. We turn that on its head and start to sort of really work with the people to understand their processes, keep them alive. Build out a process library for your organization, your department, your AP team, and all the good stuff which I'm sure we're going to touch on today. But I'll let Craig introduce himself and probably his view on.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you guys, Mike and Jamie. I'm particularly excited about the return to face-to-face meetings. I actually had my first one yesterday, round table, which was brilliant, just to kind of engage with people on a level that we've sort of forgotten what it's like. So I'm really looking forward to the upcoming calendar of events you guys have got, and really keen to get involved. So as Chris says, as you can see, I'm Craig Willis. I'm the CEO and one of the co-founders of SKORE. I've got over a 20-year background in working with businesses to help them optimize and improve processes. And we set out to build SKORE with the mission to essentially rid the world of bad processes, right? The processes, you would be surprised, or maybe not, just how bad most processes are and the impact that has on businesses, not just in terms of productivity and the impact on profitability, but just also on that individual impact of frustration and confusion that it causes to everybody involved. As Chris says, what we're doing is really turning process on its head to some extent, in that it's all about the people, right? It's not about the systems and the process diagrams themselves, but it's about the people involved and the people actually delivering the work. And so everything we do is all about how do we get them involved? How do we really, really get them engaged? It doesn't matter almost what tool that you're using to look at how you work, but all of the knowledge about what's not working, the knowledge about what you could be doing in the future, most of that is in the heads of your teams. And we're there trying to help unlock that and really unleash the full potential of what you have in your teams.
Absolutely. One of the things that I like to do, because we have our accredited solution partner program, is we do actually seek to understand the value of a partner solution before recommending it to our members. And so I suppose, in that sense, we chose to sort of eat our own dog food, in terms of we put our process change journey into your environment. And I think it's one of your taglines. It's mapping processes at the speed of conversation. And it, again, after a very, very short learning curve, I got very comfortable with, the what, when, how, just dragging the boxes in and the links, and built with our commercial director, Jamie, and the senior leadership team. We were able to visually represent the processes that we had in the partner management side, in the member development, and some of the other sides of the business very quickly at the top level. But then obviously I could invite in other team members to unpack that in sub-process drawings, which I like. You can literally just click a button and you've got all the detail below it, but you don't get bogged down. And then if you want to share it and all that kind of stuff, I mean, this isn't the place for a product demo. There is a place for product demo, and I think people will be blown away when they see how easy it is to use. But I just want to thank you for giving us access to that, and because we've used it and we've benefited from, being able to do that together as a team remotely and have an output that is sensible, meaningful, and actionable. And we've used it to drive change to our business. So, hey ho, I know it works.
It's interesting. You picked up on the questions, right? That's one of the key parts to it. Is asking simple questions. We so often forget to ask the basic questions. Yeah? What happens? Who does it? And why are you doing it? What are you hoping to get out of it? And that's, we're really at the core of keeping things simple, making them visible and transparent. Because it's about everybody being able to see what's going on.
I think you're absolutely right. Jamie will say, he's nodding. I used to write, before I met Jamie, I used to write emails that were way too long. I still talk too much. But when it comes to having team meetings, no one likes meeting for the sake of meetings. So I don't know whether Jamie's been reading like performance, productivity, improvement books or whatever, but we're all encouraged to like come to meetings with clear agendas, specific objectives, deliver, and it's like, bring me the problem, we'll discuss the solution, we get it off and we'll get it done. And so we've actually cut our meetings down to a fraction of what they were, even though, albeit virtual, it's a bit easier. It's not as onerous as getting in the car all the time and driving to head office and stuff. But I like the fact that with the SKORE tool around the detail and the complexity, if we wanted to, and we wanted to go bells and whistles and attach like resource allocation or time or even costing processes, if we were of that mind, and arguably in a larger organization, there's probably real merit and value to that when looking at resource and headcount and hiring and who should do what and when and how. But I know that there's so much more under the bonnet of your software that we didn't even bother looking at, because I knew that it would just like scramble everybody's heads. And we kind of knew what we knew once we got to be able to see it clearly together. But I think one of the things I'd like to be able to do next year is give people the value of you helping come alongside them to help them help themselves through these process journeys. And I think, if we can map the P2P process, for example, or maybe some other areas of business function, I know we've done some work on that, and you've got a load of templates. I'm making the promise now because I know you've got the capability to deliver it. We're going to put down below, or links in your section of our partner website. We're going to put access to some of those templates, which are linked to free trials. People can actually go and play with predefined processes and then tweak them to suit their own business very easily, I believe.
Yeah, totally. We've got templates from some other APA partners as well, where they've cross-border payments is one we've got up there. They've created the stock process. Here's what every business should be doing at a highest kind of level, and then giving advice at each step. At this point, you should be thinking about this. If you don't do this, you're going to be double charged and all this sort of stuff. So we just make that available through our application. And it's brilliant. So sharing that knowledge, sharing that leg up to be able to accelerate your change, and get better and get rid of those bad processes.
Well, look, I think the bit I'm learning, Chris, clearly I've been a bit quiet, but the easiest way to manage process clearly is have an office with lots of bottles of wine behind you. I think if you do that, that's the measure of success. So, but you know what? Sorry, Chris.
So it's quite telling that I've got bottles of wine behind me, and Craig's got loads of books. I don't know.
Yeah, I can see the dynamic here.
I've just got a blank wall. What does that say about me?
Well, yeah, we should just put a thought process around Mike's blank thoughts. But look, I think from our point of view, and I said this at the beginning, processes are the biggest challenge that we face in accounts payable and procurement and procure to pay. And the challenge that we have in our industry is we are a done-to department. So people usually come to us and say, right, we bought this solution, or we're going to do this, or there's a project and it's halfway or three-quarter of the way down. And, oh, by the way, you need to get involved. And the issue that we always face is that we've suddenly got to stabilize and sort of get a team together, and we've got to try and review our processes, which I've got to be honest, a lot of the time we haven't got documented of sort. And we need then tools and facilities that can not only speed that process up, but actually for future-proof our projects and our department's growth. So, and I guess, and what I'm hearing is that your tool, the SKORE tool, can do all of that. And it's all about getting it into a focus, getting it into a process, whether that's mapped or whatever, a business process of sort. And then also, I assume, tweaking it and trying to improve. And we run a thing called the Continuous Improvement Program, or the Quality Program. And that's all about that journey of continuous improvement. And I'll be interested to chat with some of our new customers who have gone through that and see whether they'd be willing to engage with you about what they've learned, what they've documented, and actually what the future looks like in their processes. Is that something that you do as well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's really interesting when you're putting any sort of continuous improvement effort into place. You got to make sure you've got the right foundations, right? And you talked about often you don't have the processes documented, and that effort can be considerable, right? Getting to that point. So that's one of the things that we set out right at the beginning to help resolve, is to really compress the amount of time that it takes to go and create that documentation. Now, Mike used the phrase before, which we like, which is mapping at the speed of conversation, right? You can often sit down and talk about what you do. What tends to happen is you talk about what you do, and then you'll go, right, well, let's put a meeting in the diary about that, and then you all stand around a whiteboard and you sketch it all out, and everyone go, that's great. Then somebody takes a photo of it, and then they go and sit in somewhere in a dark room and map that into some other system, and then email it out to everybody, right? Go back to that first conversation with SKORE. One of the beauty of it is that we did right from the beginning, we said, let's just make it so while you have that conversation, you can map it straight into the tool. And the nature of how it works, the approach structures the conversation, so you don't go off talking about what happened at the weekend or the football. You stay focused on just capturing that process. But that's just the sort of first step, right? That's just getting it down, getting everybody aligned, getting everybody agreed. Undoubtedly, people are going, wouldn't it be great if we did it this way? Or if we moved that here, that would save us that amount of time. Capture all of that sort of stuff right there at the same time as well. But it's that okay, well, what happens next? Well, what happens the day we map that process and we implement that system? You've got some sort of the invoice processing system. As you say, it's been forced on you because there's been a wider program in somewhere else, so you've had to kind of make it work and make it fit. The day you get that system configured, you've mapped your processes, you've got the system configured, and they're like that. But almost the next day, they start to diverge, right? And within days, weeks, months, actually what the system does and what the real process, what you're actually doing every day, is starting to diverge. And what happens then is you then start trying to find workarounds where the system isn't quite doing what you want. That's where your spreadsheets come in, right? Because you go, all right, well, I can't put that information in the system, so I'll put it in this spreadsheet. I'll just put a record. I create my tracker for something, my PO tracker or whatever it is. The beauty of something with SKORE, because you've got it laid out in a nice, simple way, easy to understand, in a platform that's easily accessible, the team can come back together on once a month, every 6 weeks, whatever it is, just have a chat and say, okay, here's the process we defined 6 weeks ago. How's it changed? What's working well? What isn't? And that conversation can take 10, 15 minutes, but it throws up again, oh, since we did this, I've since learned we could actually do it this way and that'll make it better. Or, I've had to create this spreadsheet that's a workaround for something. So you can go back to whoever, your systems architect, and say, can you look at the system and reconfigure it? So making it easy to get started, to capture that process in the first place, creating a platform where it's easy for people to go back and see and make suggestions and updates. As you said, sometimes you're just changing the wording on a box or moving it along. So it shouldn't be sitting on the shelf gathering dust. Yeah, it's easy to go and engage with, but it's about, then it comes in that sort of process improvement thinking about, okay, how do we put the routines in place to make sure we come back and look at this and update it on a regular basis?
I think a lot of this is, the opportunity cost of doing nothing is considerably painful for most businesses. And I think, as Jamie would agree, we certainly the feedback, we're all about helping people do more with less, or equipping our members particularly to benefit from the insight, the education, and the access to tools that exist to make their life easier, make their job more rewarding, and improve accuracy, efficiency, and ultimately feathers in caps rather than black eyes when it comes to business performance. And I'm really excited about, obviously, the opportunities we've got next year. The fact that the AP function as a whole and as it sits within the P2P process has been targeted almost as a real area of profitability for most businesses, to actually be able to drill down quite simply in a secure platform that allows conversation to happen around the meaningful change that needs to happen in a business. I think we'll be hearing more from you guys, and I'd certainly like to involve you more. We've got member huddles. We've got a member huddle coming up on the 16th of December. We're going to be routinely doing what we call member huddles throughout next year. We're going to be running masterclasses. We're going to have regional update sessions. We want to be where the members' problems are, addressing them with the range and array of expertise and knowledge that we have to give away, by virtue of the fact that guys like you support us. So, there'll be lots to come. I'm working on a media pack and a calendar for next year. I will be publishing it. We want to start filling in the blanks and getting you in front of people, really. Jamie, have you got anything else to add on that?
No. I mean, I'll be interested from Chris and Craig. Have you got anything coming up? Is there anything in your diary, your world that you'd like to push to our audience? We've got sort of 3 or 4 minutes left to go. So, anything that's coming up at the moment?
Scrum. Yeah, no, totally. We run lots of regular events, one of which is our Scrum event, which is every other month or so. They're still remote at the moment. We are looking at how to bring them back face-to-face and the like, but we are going to keep the remote model as well, because it's just proving so popular. We're getting lots of people from around the world dialing in and joining in the conversation. So it's a Scrum with a K, because of SKORE with a K. The meetup is 30th of November, end of this month. We try something new. It was an evening-based thing. We're trying a lunch and learn kind of thing this time. So probably getting some new faces to that. And it's all about process improvement and how do you embed that into your organization. So we've got a couple of great speakers coming in, very experienced, giving their hints and tips, and we'll be having a good conversation around that. So that's the 30th of November. You can go to our website, go to the Scrum events page, and there's a little sign up form, and you can see who's speaking. But we welcome new people into that conversation, each month.
And just before we close, I think it's important. I mean, I should work for SKORE, to be honest. I've done a great job of selling your solution, but the reality is it's actually ridiculously affordable. I mean, for less than the cost of a pizza, you can have a tool that changes your entire business outlook. It is amazing. So I know you're running a free trial. Any members, any visitors to the site, anybody in our audience wants to get involved, they can jump on over to your website, and they'll benefit from all of the support you can give them, and a free trial as well for them and their team. So I just want to thank you for coming on the show, and obviously look forward to working with you next year.
Thanks,
thank
guys.
you very much.
Thanks.
Lovely. And before we go, thank you both, Chris and Craig, for taking the time. And yes, usually we give you at least 20 minutes heads up. This time, I'm going to blame that guy that side for not, it's usual. Actually, your SKORE system, we would buy an enterprise package if you could take all the thoughts in his head and actually process map them out for me and give them something so I could literally understand it. That would be great. So you've got an enterprise member with us if you could do that. Before we go today, a thanks to our guests, but also remember it's 8th of December. Kat Moy, I think I put it on earlier. She mentions, should we have a Christmas jumper parade on the 8th of December? Mike's nodding, shaking his head. I will make sure he's dressed up as Santa or somebody. But yes, if people do want to dress up as they come on, as it is Christmas month or whatever, you're more than welcome to. But that'll formally go out in the invites. So we'll look forward to that. Mike, I will no doubt we'll speak next week. Thank you both, Chris and Craig. It's been exceptional again. Great week, great end to a really full, jam-packed week of live face-to-face events, which is amazing. And we are gearing up for the 8th of December. So thanks all, and thanks for watching.
Cheers.